So Bevan, help us all out with this. You know, we just heard Nelson and KP talk about their various situations, Antoinette similarly, and I'm hearing these different kinds of things that seem, you know, very different. You have the physical ailments on the one side, you have the anxiety, which is sometimes, you know, exacerbated by the physical side, the anxiety and that kind of thing, and then and all the way to the brain fog. Okay, so how are we able to, from your perspective in the formulation, how are you able to address this so that we help people with those triggers that were setting people off? You know, Kenneth can now salute that airplane. I mean, JKP can now salute that airplane. Or, you know, everybody who was maybe challenged in their relationship is just calming everybody out. So that combination of physical relief and emotional relief at the same time. So how do we do that?
Right. So first of all, what we need to understand about PTSD, what researchers are finding is that PTSD is associated with a particular region of the brain, among others, called the hippocampus. And the hippocampus is responsible for cognitive functioning, certain memory, the relationship between what you remember, what you are processing, and emotion as well. And what they have found, these researchers in the literature, is that PTSD or any sort of trauma, whether it's in childhood or whether it's in adulthood, can shrink the hippocampus. That then can result in brain fog, loss of memory, memory triggers that are traumatic, that are in a sort of an infinite loop, people lashing out at other people, mood problems, depression, anxiety, among other things, as well as pain. What's interesting is that PTSD and the hippocampus connection is most associated, closely associated with people with Alzheimer's or dementia, whose hippocampal regions in the brain also are shrinking in the same way or in a similar way, or are impaired due to these amyloid plaques that build up. So people with Alzheimer's also experience these same range of emotions, lashing out, loss of memory, brain fog, emotions out of control. And so these things are related. Another thing that's important about the hippocampus is that mitochondrial function in those particular brain cells is extremely important for regulation of the hippocampus, whether it's the firing of the neurons or the general operation of that part of the brain. It's extremely important that mitochondrial health is maintained to regulate that. And I would say this, another connection that's very important for what we do is inflammation, the connection between inflammation and PTSD. So inflammation markers in the blood in PTSD patients are extremely elevated. But what's also a comorbidity with PTSD, or several of them in fact, I've already mentioned the metabolic syndrome, that metabolism really starts at the deep inside the cells, the powerhouses of the cells, and that's what we're going after with the turning up of the mitochondria. So mitochondrial dysfunction is a key part of PTSD. Also ALS, heart disease, various autoimmune diseases. And the big connector between all of these is inflammation, out of control inflammation. Well, it just so happens that two key aspects of what we do are going after chronic inflammation with healthy compounds that are feeding the body and turning down those inflammation markers by upregulating mitochondria, repairing the cells, turning down that inflammation, and thus, after the mitochondria are turned up and the inflammation is turned down, then these cells can repair themselves, the synapses can begin firing regularly again, the hippocampal shrinkage can be stopped, and then the connection between that part of the brain function and the brain-gut connection is also upregulated and healed, allowing neurotransmitters to operate again between those two parts of the body. What also happens in that system, and also the endocannabinoid system, the endocrine system, is that stress hormones are downregulated, allowing you to deal with stress in a way that you haven't for a while. Emotions then are brought under control, and overall, a calmer outlook on life, ability to deal with stress is maintained. And we've talked already about the various parts of Restore that are formulated specifically for those aspects, whether it is mood, whether it is downregulation of stress hormones, adaptogens for maintaining homeostasis in the body, or helping out with the brain function that we all need so badly. And I believe that's those things that are interlocking there: mitochondrial function, inflammation, endocrine stabilization, the system of stress hormones there, and also the brain-gut connection and the healthy gut, as well as healthy compounds for the brain. All of those are working together in Restore to bring people back into a state of healthy adaptation to life's stresses every day. And I believe that when people take Restore, they're able to take a step back, as it were, while their health takes a step forward, and they're able to function normally, even in the midst of daily stress in life. So that's just a very quick snapshot, I think, of what Restore can help with in general, and we can always go into more detail at another time, but I believe what we're seeing here is an interaction of all these body systems with the nutrients that we're feeding the body, and helping people to get past these blocks, whether they're emotional blocks caused by triggers, whether they're a physical inflammation-based block, or whether it's a mitochondrial dysfunction that's holding them back from getting past those damages.
Right.
So we're very, very pleased to be able to work in this area.
All right. Thank you, Bevan. I mean, the work you're doing is absolutely putting people's lives on a new trajectory. Thanks again.
You're welcome, Roger.
Let's see.